Ah, yes. Oh, you got nice music, eh?
Ah,
Quite a party boy, aren't you?
we try our very best.
And with that background of yours, with the bricks, and then with your microphone, all you need to do is to hit left and right, and there you are. You know?
Like that.
Yeah,
We're just missing the blinking lights.
that's right. Just the black there, true. Lee, you coach. You're a coach,
Correct. Yes.
and what do you coach?
Basically, we help build team building, leadership.
Ah, okay.
So it has to go hand in hand.
Because I'm in,
Right.
I'm also in sports. So the more as a coach, I think that comes to my head is sports coach. Okay. The other one also requires coaching as well, leadership and all that.
Right.
Leadership, team building.
So you must be good at the badminton, huh?
Used to be like younger days.
So now it's tennis.
No, I don't play. I don't play any racket games at all.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I just jog and cycle.
Okay.
I stopped playing badminton like about 6 years ago.
Uh huh.
Yeah.
We are live now.
But I can't see it on Facebook. Yeah?
You should be able to.
I'm Chris Randolph, great sales coach, sales and marketing, right?
Right.
Yeah. Unless I must click live. Okay. Yes. Yeah.
So, gentlemen, we'll get started in just over 3 minutes.
Yep. What's going to be your first question? Huh?
First one, regarding three areas of your life.
Areas of my life.
Yeah.
Well, that's like 3 seconds.
Oh, okay. Well,
Areas
if that's what it is.
Okay. I have a very boring area of my life. My God. Okay.
You know what, gentlemen? Let's do this. All right. I think we're raring to go. So let me get this music out first. Okay. And we are live on Facebook right now. So for everyone watching, thank you for joining us on our live session, the Ask the Expert series. And this evening, I'd like to welcome a dear and treasured friend. I'd like to welcome our distinguished guest this evening, Dato Sri Jahaberdeen Mohamed Yunoos. Dato Sri Jahaberdeen is a prominent lawyer, advocates and solicitors, Jahaberdeen and Co. And Dato Sri deals with business owners on a daily basis, providing valuable insight, advice, and conducting of heavy litigation files. No simple stuff for Dato Sri. Only the tough cases. All right,
The heavy stuff.
and right, and he's also the president of the KL Badminton Association. We were chatting a little bit about this a couple of minutes ago, and me personally, I was most intrigued by this. He's also the founder of the Rapera movement, an organization that focuses on humanity, compassion, and the thinking citizen. And from the bottom of my heart, Dato Sri Jahaberdeen, I want to welcome you to our session, our weekly session this evening. And thank
Yes.
you so much for making the time for us. It's deeply, deeply appreciated.
Thank you, Dato Sri.
Thank you
So,
very much,
shall we?
and Dee,
Awesome.
for inviting me over.
Thank you.
Okay.
Dee, maybe you want to start us off with the first question.
Okay, well, being Dato Sri is a barrister, and so I don't know if we want. I don't know if this may be appropriate for him. So, get ready, everybody. Okay, here we go. Are you ready, Dato?
I'm ready, yes. Sure.
Okay, I mean, three main areas in your life, right? Besides family, as Chris mentioned, Rapera and KLBA, Jahaberdeen and Co. How do you manage to find a balance to deal with so many things on your plate?
Okay, well, I don't think of life in terms of balancing it.
Mm-hmm.
I just live it. And I must confess that I'm sure, like most of us, Monday to Sunday just flies off very fast. In fact, I was just thinking this morning, say, oh my God, how fast even every day flies.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's more of a question of just doing what you need to do at a particular time, and family time, whatever. Because quite apart from all those other things that you mentioned, I'm also a columnist. So with the
Okay.
Star,
Oh.
I also have to
Yes,
find the right.
that's right. Yeah.
Yes, occasionally I'm asked to give opinions on various matters, current events, for example, legal issues,
Oh.
and also on social, political issues as well. So I think it's a question of living the day. Yes,
Okay.
I'll put it that way.
Okay.
Not much of a balancer.
Yeah,
So there's no stress there.
yeah.
Yeah.
How is it that there's no stress, right? The only way you can have no stress, right, is if you have no responsibilities or and no disrespect to anybody that lives in the jungle, but you live in the jungle and you don't worry about anything.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only way that you have no stress, isn't it? Right?
I don't know, Chris. In the
Yeah, but
jungle, I'd be scared of mosquitoes and snakes, and there's still some stress there.
yeah, I mean, I agree with you, Dee. I think if I was to live in the jungle, or if you take me on a holiday and say, let's go and stay in some jungly area for a holiday, chalets, that would be absolutely stressful for me.
Oh my.
Okay.
I think then we're the opposite then.
Yeah, I think I would like the green at a distance, not too near. Even the croaking of a frog will stress me out.
Wow.
Okay.
Okay.
My one of we're going off tangent, all right? But one of my favorite ways to relax is sipping a drink and having a cigar in a hammock, all right, and then just relaxing in that area. And I remember many years ago when I was a lot younger. I don't know if I should say this. My ex-wife said to me, I was in a hammock on holiday, and then, she asked me this question. She goes, "Hey, what do you want to do today?" And then I had the cigar, I had the drink, I was in the hammock. I looked at her, Dato Sri, and I looked at her and I said, "I'm already doing it." So that's my kind of holiday. But I'll remember what you like. All right. And when we talk about Rapera, one of the things that we have conversations about Rapera. It has Rapera has ideals and beliefs on society, right? The government and the citizens, right? So, can you share, how you started Rapera, or maybe you share what was the catalyst for Rapera, and what's the driving force behind it, and what does it stand for today? Because if I recall, you had the startings of Rapera 20, 30, 40 years ago, right? 30 years ago, right? So what, how did you start it, and how did you end up, with Rapera today? What's the driving force behind it? What does it look like?
I think most of the things that happens to us today, we'll find a catalyst or reason for it sometime, maybe even in our teenage period. Like in my case, for instance, I would like to say that the idea behind Rapera started sometime in my teenage period, even though it's not in the form that it is today. Why? Because, as a young man, I was a very angry young man. I was a very angry young man. I was very angry with adults. I was very angry with a lot of things around me because, as a teenager, as a young person, you have this misconception that adults, by nature being adults, they must be knowledgeable, they must be able to show you the path and so on and so forth. So it becomes a very early, painful lesson that adulthood does not equal to knowledgeable and wise people. So that's the first thing. So you realize that. So as a teenager, I was very much taken up by the need to read, need to think, need to find knowledge and all that. So I was one of those guys who say, look, I must go to, I must read a lot of books. And I had a sister who was already in the university at that time. And I didn't want to go to university actually in the beginning because I thought it was not necessary university to get knowledge. You get knowledge by reading and so on and so forth.
Right.
And I love reading because I hate eating. So one way to distract myself from eating is to read a book while I'm eating,
Okay.
So the food will finish. That's basically the background. But anyway, I realized in an argument with my sister, she was doing psychology and I was arguing with her and I was in lower six. Halfway through the argument, she said this to me. She said, look, I am studying psychology and you're arguing about psychology. Hello, please. So that's when I decided, oh my God, you will have to go to university to get a degree before people can take you seriously. I realized that. So when I went to university, I studied and I was one of those who believed truly that knowledge, information, thinking skills will actually build a better society. But as I grew older, I realized that is not true. And I realized also that in many aspects of our life, most of our problems are actually caused by so-called knowledgeable people, are caused by people.
Right.
Those who are not so intelligent, those who are not so knowledgeable, those who are not university graduates, they don't cause as much problems to the world as the clever people do.
I love hearing that. Yeah.
Yeah. So that awareness really shook me. And that time, I think I was a lecturer in Stanford College. I was teaching in Stanford College as my first profession. That was before I did my law in 27, 28 years old. So that's when I realized, oh my God, you don't just need the brain alone, you also need the heart. Because, for example, I mean, very simple examples like, the bomb cannot be created by somebody who don't know physics. Or, the lawyers, the accountants, the engineers, the marketing people. We are the people who cause the problems in the world. We are the ones who persuade people to buy things they don't need. We build bridges that fall off. We build the bombs and so on and so forth. So it's all the educated people, including lawyers as well. So that's when I realized that intelligence and cleverness has got to be moderated by something I call compassion.
Okay.
Yeah. And when I came back from UK after doing my law, while practicing law, as I said, nothing but to do, so I read a lot. So I researched and found that compassion was mostly only in religion and medicine. That was the idea of compassion. So I was trying to formulate a different idea of compassion,
right?
And I think very humbly, I've introduced a new concept of compassion into the market. I think because I remember 15 years ago, somebody in US emailed to me and said that the definition of compassion that I came about is something new. And that compassion definition is that where you actually experience somebody else's suffering, you actually feel somebody else's suffering, and at the same time, you move to remove the suffering. So that's our definition of compassion.
Okay.
So there are two elements to compassion. One,
so the empathy and the solution.
The empathy and the action.
Okay.
automatically. I mean, the example, like if you pass by a drain.
Oops, I think Dato got froze.
It's okay. I think he may come back. I think we got frozen there for a couple seconds.
Mm.
But to touch on what he was saying, the compassion and the action. I think he was leading up to, the example was, if you pass by a drain and the drain is blocked, and we see examples of this, right, in the news,
Yeah.
and most of the time it's kids, right?
Right.
So you see a blocked drain and you just clear it,
Mhm.
without being asked to, right?
Right. Right.
So, okay, looks like we lost him, so we'll wait for him to come back in.
Sure.
Let me send a quick message to see. Let's see if he needs any assistance. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. While we're waiting for him, let's see. Today was a very interesting day, right?
Mhm.
We had a whole day of a webinar training,
Yep, you did.
and we fill our lives and schedule with activities that I hope for me, D, I hope that we can always further ourselves,
Mhm.
because what's really exciting to me is that when we're able to share something with someone, and that's exactly why we have this series, right? You know what?
Right.
I think he's messaging me.
Okay.
Let's see. Okay, let me just reply to him real quick.
I just want to give a shout out to all our guests who has come on and who plans to come on and spend their time and share their time with us and share their insights and stuff like that. So thank you all very much.
Ah,
Hey,
we
Tato
we
Sri.
were we
Hi,
were
I
about
think
to send out the search party.
I am
You
back,
know what?
right?
I thought, yes, you're back, and
Okay, good.
thank you so much for making the effort to come back in, and let me shift us around a little bit here. Okay, okay,
I don't know what happened there.
and yeah, the last
The
thing we
Bermuda
heard, Dato Sri,
Triangle.
was the empathy and the action, and you were giving the example of somebody passing by a drain.
Right.
Yeah, kitten in the drain, yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, I was saying that if you just pass by the kitten in the drain and you feel sorry for it and just sympathy, when you go down to the drain and pick up the kitten, then that's compassion, because
Okay.
both sympathy and action are joined together.
Right.
And yeah, so that's how. So finally, the blogging started in 2008, and therefore
Uh-huh.
started the blog called Rapera, and that's when it became public, if you like, thanks to the internet
Right.
world.
Right.
And we started with just five of us, five of us who believed in this madness, going around talking to people just on a small basis. And me writing a lot about it. And subsequently, it became a Rapera movement. We had
Yep.
about 300 people that time. They wanted me to make into a society, persatuan. I didn't want to, because I didn't want president, deputy president, and we lose the entire focus of it.
Right.
So it was left as a movement. But for organization purposes, I also formed something called a Rapera Foundation about 3 years ago.
Yep.
So you have this Rapera movement, Rapera Foundation, and with own money, I created a company called Rapera TV. So so to broadcast various things.
Cool.
So essentially, that is my pastime. That is my passion. So
Awesome.
essentially, the idea is to be able to encourage more Malaysians to be thinking citizens and compassionate citizens. That's the main idea. And I'm so happy that people like Chris are with us on the Rapera movement.
Thank you.
And that's why it makes
Thank
it very
you.
nice, because people like Chris are very compassionate.
On the
Chris.
surface, yes. On the surface.
That
That's
too.
three. I First of all, I want to let everybody know that I am actually very honored to be able to share my thoughts and participate in Rapera, because you know the interesting thing that you said was to get more Malaysians to be more compassionate and take action, and I'm thankful that you have allowed me into the fold to be able to contribute on that,
I'm hoping
and
something.
ah
If I'm something, I'm hoping. You see, Rapera is, if you look at the entire Rapera concept, of course it is Malaysian, but in my head, I think it is actually a universal concept.
Mm.
So if
right.
if and when you do go back to Philippines, I'll be very happy you start a Rapera chapter in Philippines, because we do have a Rapera chapter in Australia and in UK.
Okay.
So we have.
Okay.
I've been to UK and give talks and exchange, because I
Right.
think this Rapera idea around the world is good.
Mhm.
Because at the end of the day, we have to come to terms. If we think we are human beings
Mm-hmm.
and we're passionate to each other, even when we close our eyes, we know that we need to be compassionate to each other and to animals and to plants and so on and so forth. So
Mm.
it's a very universal idea.
If I were to say something like this, Dr. Sri, if I were to say something like, uh, maybe I'll talk from my perspective, all right? Uh, if I were to say something like it's easier to have compassion for animals than to have compassion for all human beings. What would your reaction be to that? Don't
I think we cannot
hit,
compare.
okay?
I think we cannot compare in that manner,
Uh huh.
because if you look at most normal
Right.
mothers, yeah, most
Yep.
normal mothers, and most mothers are normal, and you find that mothers are inherently compassionate, because if you like mothers, women who are mothers, they are actually the source of life. It's from them
Mm.
that the babies, the boys, the girls, everything come forth. And if they're not compassionate, life never be around.
Right.
So
Okay.
compassion is even the source of life. So that's how I
Mm.
look at it. Compassion is
Okay.
the source of life.
Okay.
Dato, um, okay. So when we think about like a thinking and a compassionate citizen, right? Like, how can we reconcile that with the deep root of governments, being involved in more areas of society, especially nowadays, right? 2020, 2021. What do you think about that? Hello?
The line is bad.
Oh, okay.
Okay. D, can you
Did you
repeat
hear?
your question?
Sure, sure. When you talk about like
Hold on.
compassionate.
Dr. Sri, can you hear us okay?
Hello, Adi. No, D, you got to repeat the question. I lost you there.
Okay.
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 So I was asking, like, when we think about the thinking and compassionate citizen, right? How can we reconcile that with the deep root of governments being involved in more areas of society today, especially in the 2020 and 2021?
Did you get the question, Dr. Sri, or you want it to be repeated?
No, repeat it.
Okay.
Okay.
Because it broke.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
like we talk about thinking and compassionate citizens, yes?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Like, how can we reconcile that with the deep root of governments?
With the
Right?
deep root.
Yes, of governments being involved in more areas of society, especially these days.
What do you mean deep root? I didn't get that part.
It's almost like they're getting their hands in
Involved, yeah,
different levels of society.
right.
Right,
Right from the top to the very bottom.
right. Now, we have to first of all understand. Okay, let's say we don't think at all.
Mm.
The default situation for not thinking is parents care, governments care. Default situation.
Okay.
I'm taking even extreme position of parents care and governments care. That's the default situation.
Right.
But when you start thinking, you say, hey, hang on a minute. Parents may care, governments may care. So let's go back to government. Governments may care, but what is government? the more you start thinking, government is about control and laws and regulations.
Right.
Governments will want to sustain itself.
Mm-hmm.
So these are the things that come into your mind the moment you start thinking. Therefore, then you ask, what is the purpose of government? Then you
Okay.
know that the purpose of government is to serve society,
Right.
not to serve itself.
Absolutely.
So whenever
100%
governments try to
agree.
get involved in every single aspect of society, the question that needs to be asked, by a thinking citizen is this involvement necessary? Yes. Is this involvement necessary? Does it
Yep.
assist and help society? Does it make the citizens' life better?
Mm-hmm.
So those kind of questions will arise. And that's when we will enter into a discussion and we'll formulate ways of how to curb government intervention and how to sometimes allow government to intervene more in areas. For what purpose? To me, when you start thinking, you realize that the purpose of government is to actually, I would phrase it this way, the purpose of a good government is to facilitate better lives by the citizens. The word I use is to facilitate.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So this area that many people overlook, because society seems to be divided into many angles. Some people's mindset is a government must control.
Yep.
Some people say no, government should not have any control at all. These are all non-thinking with respect.
Mm-hmm.
We forget the main task is to facilitate our lives. How do they facilitate?
Yeah.
In businesses. There are areas they need to control. There are areas they need to make it free, easy for anybody who can qualify to be able to start their businesses, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Licensing should be almost mechanical.
Right.
License should be made almost mechanical. You have the following criteria, done. So maybe in those respects, an AI would do a better job.
Mm-hmm.
True. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Artificial intelligence will do a better job. So you remove. So to answer Coach D's question, the moment we're aware that a government is made up of human beings, and human beings will always exercise, number one, discretion. How do we have control over discretion so that discretion is not abused or wrongly used?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's number one. Second, other than discretion, the second point that we need to look at when we talk about government is that is the government centering too much power in itself for itself? That's the second issue that we're going to address.
Okay.
And thirdly is the facilitation. Whatever the government does it facilitate or obstruct life?
Okay.
Otherwise, we'll be getting into these high-sounding discussions, which does not lead to anywhere. So to me, Rapera always goes back to the very basic essence, basic life, the essence of life and the basis of life. Easier.
Got it.
Thank you.
That is true. Before I move on to the next question, maybe I'm going to have you mention how did you come up with the name Rapera? It stands for.
Do
you want me to repeat? The question was. Go ahead.
Right. I was doing my master's in UIA at the time. So I wanted to come up with something called Rakyat Penyelamat Negara. Rakyat Penyelamat Negara means savior citizens. But how do you shorten it? So I was very fortunate to meet an Indonesian scholar who also studied masters with me in UIA.
Okay.
And she's also part of our Rapera movement. And she's a lawyer in Indonesia. And Indonesians are very good at coming up with these acronyms.
Okay.
So she came up with this Rapera, Rakyat Penyelamat Negara.
Awesome.
Okay.
Awesome. Thank you so
that's
much.
how the name Rapera came out. Rakyat Penyelamat Negara.
Okay, save our citizens, right?
Or savior citizens.
Save your citizens, right?
Yeah.
So, my next
Rapera,
question is,
if you realize, since you're also part of the Rapera movement, you'll probably realize that Rapera is not so sexy as other movements because Rapera keeps insisting on self. The first person you're going to focus on is yourself.
Which is hard.
Which is hard. So that's why I say Rapera is not sexy. Every other movement is about, hey, what's wrong with you? But if you look at our discussion, it's all about what's wrong with me. Why don't I be the first person to change? Things like that.
You know, it's interesting you brought that up, Dato Sri. Actually, that single concept is what attracted me to that idea. You know, the change begins with yourself first, right?
Because you're a good trainer,
Because I'm a what? Sorry.
Because you're a good trainer.
No, it's because I'm trying to be a human being, and I have to make up for the sins of my past. That's why. Okay. So, well, let me ask you this. How I know you kind of alluded to it earlier when you said that you were arguing with your sister, right? Who was either studying or had a degree in psychology. So, how did you decide on becoming a legal practitioner, and a couple decades down the line, right after you are practicing, in the legal profession, if you could change anything, would you still have stayed with the law, or would you have selected another profession? Because I know you mentioned medicine earlier as well.
Yeah, well, basically, initially I wanted to study law, but I have a brother who's a lawyer, and another brother's a doctor. So I thought, be an economist.
Okay.
When you're young, you really think that when you study economics, then you become an economist. You really become a real economist. You're able to give economic policies, etc. I realize reality is completely different. Reality is completely different. You can study economics and you end up being an economic lecturer. All right? Okay. And after a while I love teaching because I love to help young people build their dreams. I love to show the path to young people.
Right.
But after a while, it became boring because I keep repeating the same. Under the profession, number one, that will make me a different person, different day. I can be schizophrenic.
Okay.
Doctor one day, an engineer another day, a criminal another day. So when you do civil and criminal litigation, you become different people, different time. You become experts in many fields. So
playing a role.
Yeah.
Playing different roles. Yeah.
Yeah. Play different roles. Yes. And secondly, also, I wanted an excuse to be able to say my mind, to express my mind. What better place than the courts? They got a license to speak. So these are my real reasons, why I decided to do law. And as I told you before, as a young man, I was a very angry young man. I was very angry with what happens around me, etc. And law seems to be the most appropriate place, which gives you a license to speak. Yeah. And I like it because litigation lawyers are intellectually challenged all the time. So that's the thinking.
They get paid a lot too, don't they?
Depends Good one, Coach D.
No, I'm sorry. What were you saying?
No, I was. It does answer you, Chris.
Yes, sir, it does.
Yeah.
So, okay, Dr. Sri, you're a businessman. You're still a businessman, right? Behind the scenes, you're a lawyer, you're a solicitor, right? But you're a businessman. So there have been challenges in the past year and a half, right? A year and plus. What were some of your challenges in business, and what did you have to face, and how did you overcome them?
Okay. I know very well when you say I'm a businessman, but I've got to respond the way I've been responding for the past 27 years since I became a litigation lawyer. I keep telling people that I'm a professional, not a business. But I know what you mean. Number one, I would explain why I do not consider those who do litigation, like me, civil and criminal litigation and corporate litigation, as a businessman. Because a businessman talks about profits, he will think about maximizing profits. In my case, everybody who comes, all my clients come to see me with their problems. So I charge them a certain number of fees. But I understand that the firm will have certain overheads, will have certain fixed expenses to take care of. Those are the fixed expenses. So that's a separate issue altogether. So I think your question is more aligned towards how do I maintain myself. Now, my business model all the years has been small, to keep myself very small, not to make myself big. So I'm a very small firm. There's me and 3 other lawyers, there's 4 of us. But what I do is, for all these years, whoever have chambered with me, if they're very good, I help them set up another firm by themselves.
Oh.
So even though I'm a 4 lawyer firm, I can at any one time have about 25 lawyers at this moment.
Oh, okay.
But each of them have their own firms.
Awesome.
So the reason I did that is because I wanted my practice to be choosy, so that I can choose my cases, I can choose my clients, and I can give the attention to my clients that they want. I don't want to be in a position where I was in a partnership before I went on my own. There was a miserable partnership for me. The reason was my other partner was doing conveyancing, sales and purchase agreements, corporate agreements, etc. So that was more run like a business. And there's so many files and there's no quality. So after 3 years, no, this is not for me. So I quit. So basically, my advice to lawyers would be, decide what kind of firm you want to be.
Right.
If you think about money, and then that will be its own challenges.
Right.
Like about certain kind of practice, for instance, specialized practice, then you can't make that much money, but you will be generally okay, I believe.
Right.
So last year, what did I do? Last year, I was lucky. I did not, retrench any of my staff. They were around, and we were able to do. So we converted last year to doing more research, because last year no court cases or very little court cases. So we said, okay, fine. What we do now, this is the best time to do research. So we're able to do all the researches and prepare for the cases. So by that, we're able to work from home.
Okay.
So it's just a question of shifting.
Right.
I also have some other small businesses. That's a business.
Okay.
All right. So in that business, I had tremendous challenges. Tremendous challenges. So in that, I had about 15 staff. We had to let go 6 of them this year.
Oh, okay.
But they were given time from last year to find a job elsewhere. So some of them just left this year.
Okay.
So that was okay. That's Rapera being compassionate where they can. Yeah. Well, so that part of the business that was affected, that's products, etc. Yes.
Okay.
So
yes. So since you answered it that way, and you were able to kind of shift around, and it's commendable in your practice that you were not that you didn't lay off or retrench anyone. So let me ask you this question this way: how's the climate with the legal industry since March 2020 up to now? So are you seeing more challenges within the legal community, or for the individual practitioners, or with clients? Do you see anything challenging in your network?
I think those lawyers who deal with businessmen as their clients, they would have definitely suffered.
Okay.
They would have suffered in terms of the number of agreements they need to do, because the number of agreements that you need to do will depend on the business activity. The more active business is, the more you require agreements, the more you require legal advice, etc., etc. So that part of it, I think, would have come down. And likewise, also those related to property, for instance, sales and purchase agreements for houses, property, and so on and so forth. That may also have been. But as far as litigation proper is concerned, especially criminal litigation, when you're arrested, you need a lawyer, pandemic or no pandemic. So that part, I don't think there's much of an impact. But by and large, I think my opinion is that I think the legal profession has been affected in terms of revenue and sustainability for some legal firms. But when you're small like me, you're too small to be affected.
True.
Okay.
But not so much too small to be affected. It's like larger firms, they have larger overhead. Maybe the business goes down a certain percentage, and then you cannot sustain the large overhead with with that revenue going down.
Mhm.
I would term you more as I've always liked this phrase about you, a boutique firm,
Sorry?
right? A boutique firm.
Boutique, yeah.
Yeah. So that was always how I looked up to you as a boutique firm.
Mm.
Okay.
I had the same word in my mind. Yeah. Boutique.
Yeah. D, go ahead.
Yeah. During the years, or maybe recently, has your clientele differentiated during the years by anywhere, or like, let's put it this way, did you ever have to change the type of clients that you accepted?
All right. I think the type of legal work I do over
Mm-hmm.
the years generally remains the same, except that for the past 10 years, because of experience, because of networking, etc., some areas of the work differ. For example, I'm considered to be a solver for certain kind of issues,
Mm-hmm.
which I'm able to put together a legal package and solve it. So
Okay.
that kind. But by and large, over the years, I have this policy of taking about maybe 10 to 11 cases a year,
Okay.
and that makes you happier.
Right.
Even though
Mm.
each file is very stressful, but because you're happy with it and you have 4 lawyers working on it, and you forget there are two kinds of stress: good stress and bad stress.
Mm.
Yep.
So the good stress is there to get the adrenaline pumping, but the bad stress is not there because you're busy arguing about the case, you're busy researching the law. So that kind of thing, and that's very important in my firm. In fact, one of the criteria whenever I interview anybody is that I have to be happy with you, the rest of the staff must be happy with you, and you must be happy with us. That's very important. I tell my staff we have to have a happy working environment, because 8 to 10 hours you're in the office.
Yep.
Right.
So must well enjoy what you're doing. Even
Mm-hmm.
if you scream at each other, but scream all you want, but still enjoy it.
Yep. Absolutely. I visited your office many
Yes.
times, Dato Sri. And one of the things I don't think I ever mentioned this to you. I visit, and as you as well. We visit a lot of offices, and then when we visit a place, we get a vibe, an aura of the environment that we're in, right? And I've always been impressed with the aura that your team puts out. I've interacted with several levels of with your team. Um, Nothing bad to say at all.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So let me pose you this question, okay? Um, what what makes you excited, or what motivates you? What keeps you waking up and doing the things that you do? What is the motivation that drives you?
You've asked a very serious question, difficult
Okay.
at this stage in my life. I mean,
Ah.
that question, I would have been able to answer it very fast and rapidly. Say you asked me just 3, 4 years ago.
Okay.
Something seemed to happen to me like 2 years ago. Certain areas of my life, I don't seem to be motivated anymore. I get
Okay.
bored, I get tired. And some friends keep telling me, hey, don't do that. No, you got to. For example, I get bored writing, I get bored debating issues anymore, because my
Mm.
mind is telling me that human beings, they're difficult to change.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
having said all that, funny you should ask me this question. Only this morning I was telling myself that, hey, look, as long as there is life,
Mhm.
unless you decide that you no longer want to live, as long as there's life, you have to live. In order to live, you have to motivate yourself.
Mm.
Honestly, I was just telling that to myself this morning. So I say, look, if you have, say, a list of 20 things they used to do before, and now that 20, you're no longer motivated, sit down and analyze. And I did that,
Mhm.
funny, 2:30 this afternoon after my lunch.
Cool.
And I found that, okay, these 11 things will still motivate me. So those 11 things are the ones that I'm living, that I wake up in the morning. I want to stop thinking about, you can go on talking about the same issues over the years, and Allah issue, for
Yep.
instance, it's a never
Yep.
ending. Because by the time you finish explaining to this 45-year-old man, this 20-year-old boy comes along, he doesn't understand. And by the time he becomes 50 years old, you will start all over again with another. So it's very tiring after a while. And it becomes even more tiring when you have a 50-year-old man who understands it, but because of his vested interest, he does not want to speak the truth, if you like.
Right.
It becomes exhausting as well, you know. So
Yeah.
So whatever. So I said you have to find the 11 things that motivate you, because as long as there is life, in order to live, you must be motivated.
Yep.
Does that answer?
Yes. Tosri, can you?
Chris?
Is it okay if it's not too private or confidential? Is it okay you just share one or two of those 11?
It's boring. It's motivating for me, but it's boring.
Okay. It's okay. We'd love to hear.
Yep.
Well, one of them is, I said, as long as you live, you have a life. If you
Right.
have life, you have to be motivated. So what is
Yes.
important to me in life? To me, what is important in life is I still got to say what I believe in certain issues.
Okay.
Whether people agree with it, disagree with it, accept it, it doesn't matter to you. So that's important. So I told myself that, okay, I've got to go back to writing on certain issues because there is somebody there who wants to read it. And if he reads it, fine. He agrees, fine. But your job, Jahaberdeen, is just to write and share. Your job is not to demand and expect. That's one.
Okay.
Okay.
Right. Another one is, you know, I'm a lawyer. I've got some clients here who are very good clients who are in trouble. I got to do the best. I got to live for them. There's another reason I wake up. And thirdly, I've got a few books to write. And today I told myself I want to write the books for myself. I want to publish it, you know. 5 years ago, I want to write it for others. For others to read, etc. Now I say, no, it's for you. So that once
For
you write
yourself.
for myself, I want to write the book.
Right.
You know, I want to write the book, I want to publish it. And once it's done, one burden less. So that, you know, when you grow older, when you die very lightweight.
Right. But this
Nothing
book
on
that
your
you're thinking of,
shoulders.
you know, this book you're thinking of, Dato Sri, it's not gonna compete with TT, will it?
No, there are 3 books.
Yeah.
The books, yeah. And one is on,
Okay.
one, I don't know whether it will ever be published because it's on faith and all that, you know.
Okay. Okay. You know, I want to mention this. We deeply appreciate your thoughts and your contribution.
Yep.
And I think we have one final question. But before we get to that, you know, from the bottom of my heart, Dato Sri Jahaberdeen, I want to thank you for you know, making the time, sharing your thoughts with us. We could only afford your 45-minute rate. Thank you for giving us the friends and family discount. Okay, and we will try not to go over the allotted time because we just don't have the budget to go over the. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
I want to share with you something afterwards.
Yeah.
Well, before we give Dr. Suri's last question, what kind of clients would be a good fit for you, Dr. Suri?
What kind of would be?
Would be a good fit for you, for your firm?
Okay, my firm. Well, I do criminal.
Okay. So
civil.
any criminal will do.
No.
No, not any criminal. Boutique firm.
Boutique firm, yeah. No, I do corporate, white collar crimes. You know, I do white collar crimes. I do certain kind of corporate matters. I do defamation, media law.
Okay.
So those kind of areas.
Awesome.
Okay.
Okay, so here we go.
Chris,
Right?
can I just share this?
Of
Yes,
course.
of course.
I think it's very important. Remember when we spoke about compassion just now?
Yes.
Okay, the next area, the next level, one of the 11 in my list is the next level is I want to be able to maybe with you, I don't know, or somebody, to be able to emphasize how important this value of compassion is in the working place. People don't seem to realize that that compassion is very important in the working place. I mean, just very briefly to give an example. One example of compassion in the working place, which will increase productivity, is number one, flexibility. You know, if the employer makes the working place very flexible. For example, the employees may require short leaves. Just go to the bank, for instance, and many companies don't allow that, and they mistake under discipline. No, that's compassionate. That's flexibility.
Yep.
Another example is facilities, for instance. Like in my firm, I had a baby grew up from age 2 days to 4 years. I allowed my secretary to bring her baby, and literally the baby grew up in the firm. And you have respect of the staff, for example, and another example of compassion. So these are the things. So in brief, what I'm saying is compassion is another value that we've got to bring to the working place, and that will actually increase productivity because people are happy and they become more productive.
Dato Sri, totally agree with you. This is exactly what we like to work with leaders when we coach them and their teams to help them be more productive. But before they can even earn the trust of their teammates, they have to have that compassion for them first, right?
My staff, I'm going to ask them to go back.
Go back?
Go back home, leave work.
Home.
Okay. Yeah.
And I have my staff, and they say, yeah, true. When I got cases, my staff sleep overnight. They sleep in the office. I don't have to do that.
Yeah. You're a very compassionate leader, Dato Sri.
Very fortunate. Very fortunate
to have a leader like you.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Well,
we're blessed for that.
Yeah.
We're blessed for that.
So,
Dee, do you have a final question for Dato Sri?
Yes, if I may.
Yes.
Okay.
Dato Sri, if you could give one important piece of advice to a business owner, right, or a professional or entrepreneur to move forward in 2021, what would that be?
In 2021?
This year.
Wow. Well, the question is so specific. Right? In 2021.
Well, we don't know what's going to happen after that.
Yes. But I would say this. I can't give a general advice because I'm in the service industry mostly. So I would say that if you're in the service industry in 2021, be loyal to your existing customers or clients. Be loyal to them. Meaning they are the first, they're also suffering like you do. They're suffering like you do too. So maybe both of you can hold your hands and go through 2021. That's the key, I would say.
Right. Wow.
That's
awesome.
Yeah. Because you can't go for anything, you've got to stick with what you already have.
Yep.
Dato Sri, off the cusp here, are you looking for that? Is that Nobel Peace Prize somewhere in the back of your mind there? On your 11 list, 11 things to wake up to?
I'm too small and humble for that. No.
Well, no, I think, but you may think it's small, but it seems like you have a really big heart there. Thank you so much, Dato Sri.
Thank you, Coach D. Thank you.
Dato Sri,
yes.
Can you just mention very quickly if anybody wants to get more information on Rapera movement? How they can get in touch maybe with your Facebook page, and when we replay this, I'll link the Yayasan Rapera movement page to the replay as well.
Yes.
Okay.
Now, those who want to get in touch with Rapera, just Google Yayasan Rapera or Google Rapera TV, and that will take you to all the Facebook, the Twitter, and so on and so forth. That'd be a good place to start.
Okay. And if you're in trouble with a white collar crime or corporate espionage or things of that nature, we won't give out your phone number, but you can certainly Google Jahaberdeen and Co. Jahaberdeen and Co. and you'll be able to find them once you Google that out. All right.
Or media law.
Or media law. That's right. Dato Sri, do you have any final words of advice or thoughts or anything that you want to share before we end our session this evening?
A general advice would be what I told myself this morning.
Okay.
That is
the motivation.
As long as I told myself this morning, I'll share with this. As long as you are alive, you have to live.
Yes.
And you want to live, you have to be motivated.
Right.
To find your motivations. That's how life works.
Right. It's interesting you mentioned that again. I read somewhere. I cannot remember where I read this. People say, "Oh, enjoy life," and whatnot, right? And because they say you only live once, right? And then I heard the counter argument to that is no, you only die once, but you live every day,
Mm.
I
right?
agree, 100%.
Right. So that what to me was very profound, and what you said shared with us. As long as you're alive, live life to the fullest,
Right.
right? So I wanna from the bottom of my heart, Dr. Sri, thank you so much for
Yes.
sharing your
Thank you.
time, your ideas and thoughts with us,
Mm-hmm.
and it is deeply, deeply appreciated.
Yes,
Okay.
and I will definitely
Thank
be voting for you for the Nobel Peace Prize, if you ever.
you, Coach D. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna put the nomination in.
Right.
Okay, right.
So
Okay,
much.
so everyone, thank you for joining us on this session. If you'd like to find out more about Rapera movement, you can search Rapera TV, or you can search on Facebook Yayasan Rapera. And if you need legal advice, that does come with a price. A fantastic boutique firm, media law, corporate espionage. Just Google Jahaberdeen, Jaharberdeen and Co. And you'll find a wonderful team there. Okay, so I want to wish everyone a fantastic evening. Stay safe and blessings for all of us. And let's get through this with our heads held high and with integrity, and let's get back to where we were before. All right. Thank you and good evening and good night. Bless us all, everyone. Good night.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you, Dr.
Thank
Sri.
you. Good night.